So I have to feed my worms, so I figured why not make a video about it. So um, I've just got some leftover scraps. Basically, I've got some poblano peppers I didn't use and some apples that were going bad. I just cut up a big watermelon, Brussels sprouts, and there's all kinds of beans in here. These worms, the worms I have are red worms, so and they'll eat anything. Um, But basically, I just put everything into a food processor. Okay, got some cucumbers in there too. Might have to do this in two batches. Okay, so to explain what you saw in the hyperlapse, as this stuff was getting ground up and getting to a nice fine consistency, I was taking it out and making room for the bigger stuff that wasn't getting chopped up. So it finally got all chopped up, and if you got some chunks in here, it really, that's fine. But you know, the finer you can get this stuff, the better. Worms really don't like anything big and bulky. It will take them a while to eat stuff like that. So, but basically they will eat anything. So any scraps I get, I have a little, well, I have a compost bin out in the yard, but I got a little one under the sink that I keep, so like a gallon maybe, and I will throw stuff in there, and I'll either throw it in a compost pile or give it to the worms. You know, but this will last them. This is food for a good month for the whole colony. So yeah, I only have to feed them usually once a month, but I do have to mix this with something organic, like I just used shredded paper is usually what I use, or sometimes in the fall, you know, I'll put leaves in here, but I usually shred a lot of my bills and all that stuff, so I just put that paper in here, so it gets rid of that too, and it doesn't end up in my garbage can. So trying to recycle as much as I possibly can, and this is a good way to do it. So I'll walk you down to that process. All right, so this is the worm bin. Sorry, it's pretty dark down here. I mean, I got all my windows blacked out. You know, I mean, this is a grow room, so yeah. Put this over here. So you probably can't see that very well, but that's how that is the first level, and this is where we're gonna dump this on top of. This is a very thin layer, but you can see there. This is from the last meal I gave them, which I think was pretty much watermelon and a bunch of other scraps too. You can see some of the seeds. See, they don't eat the seeds, so the seeds are going to be left behind. I always forget about those, but it is, oh well, it is what it is. But that's the first level. And that is from the meal before, and you can actually see some of the worms in there now. See? So we got a pretty good population of worms in here, and they reproduce like mad. So you will lose a lot of them in the process, but that's fine. But that's still kind of not ready yet to use, but those are all worm castings, and the bottom of that bucket too that I show you, that's all worm castings. So this is still not exactly ready. This will probably be ready in a little while. But and then we got the bottom tier, which I did just fill up a jar of this stuff, so it's not quite as thick as it normally is, but this is that wonderful worm tea I was telling you about. This stuff is awesome. This is just pure gold. But just wanted to give you an idea. In fact, that looks a little too moist. I'm gonna throw, hold on real quick. It's a little too moist. So I'll throw some shredded paper in there. So the point of this thing is when you you start your bottom tier, and then once that gets turning nice and ready, almost ready, you start putting food in the top tier, and the worms will migrate to the food source as it depletes. So once they're pretty much done with that, I mean, and you'll get stragglers that come up here anyway, but for the most part they'll devour most of the stuff at the bottom before they come to the top, and then you just keep adding to it. You can flip them as you need to, but as I said, like that bottom one just got a little too wet. You want it to be not real wet, but you want it moist. Well, you don't want it dripping wet. So that being said, I'll show you how to prepare the actual food. So here we have what we processed, and you're just gonna add shredded paper to it, or leaves, or whatever you got, and just mix it up until it absorbs most of the water. You want it like thick oatmeal. That's how you want it. Especially because you don't want it to drip through to the next tier below it, because then it's just going to make it over moist. I think that's actually that problem I had last time, is I didn't put enough paper in it. And but you can always correct it later. I mean, ideally, leaves would be wonderful for this. Earthworms or any worms love leaves. Sorry, trying to do this and keep this on camera. Alright, this is pretty close. This is pretty good. So it's wet, but it's not sopping wet. Could probably put a little bit more in here if I really wanted to, but why not? Just a little bit more. And paper does go along. It absorbs a lot once you put it in here. That's good enough. And just pour it in. Flatten it out as good as you can. And simple as that, just put the top on it and just cover it up. Simple as that. So there you have it. That's my worm bin. I basically made it out of 2 5-gallon buckets with a lid, a spigot, and worms. Yeah. So, and the worms you can get, they're red worms. So you can go. They're easy to find. Just go to any bait store. You can usually find them. Walmart sells them in the fishing department. Anywhere you can buy bait, you can usually find red worms. So it's like $3-4 for, I think, like two dozen, sometimes 3 or 4, depending on where you get them at. So I put about 100 worms in there, I think, right off the bat, and that's pretty good for that one bucket, and trust me, they multiply really fast. So yeah, you'll find them all the time, especially in the tea in the bottom. I used to pick them out, and now, but now I'm just the point, they're in there, they're coming with, because there's so many freaking worms in there right now. So yeah, so I don't know, maybe if you guys want to learn how to do that, I can make another one, because I could use another one actually. So leave comments if you want, maybe I'll make a video on that.